Okay, and now that I got that whole situation out of the way, pertains to another edition of Taking Out the Trash, which is one of the most entertaining things that people have watched and people have been triggering about, and whatever have you. Just saying. So yeah. But what's going on, YouTubers? Ladies, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Natural Born Thriller, and welcome everyone to Impact Wrestling Review. In this case, AEW Impact. We'll get to it. The show from December 8th, 2020. You got Josh Matthews and Madison Rain as your commentators at Nashville, Tennessee at Skyway Studios. And let's not waste any time. Let's get right into the show here. This will also be the Go Home Show edition, where it tends to once again, doing things last minute. We're just building up for the final resolution, which is later on tonight, and I need to do a preview of it too, which I'll do that after this review, and it will be scheduled before that we get to final resolution. That's gonna be on Impact Plus. So let's get right into this. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to watch the show later. I got to see about that. The whole thing with Impact Plus, that whole thing, the subscription thing, whatever, that whole situation is a mess, and that's something Impact Wrestling needs to fix, and hopefully they do fix that eventually. It's been a problem for, I guess, for weeks now, month or two maybe, I don't know, but it's a big situation, problem, dilemma in a way that they need to take care of. So hopefully that does be taken care of eventually. But so yeah, I'm not sure if I'm gonna watch the show, but if I do, I will be doing a live reaction to it. So that's the best thing I can do right now. Is to hope to see if I can be able to do so. It depends, but I will still do a preview, and I will still do a coverage of it with or without a live reaction to it. So there you go. So the show opened up with a video package of recapping what happened with Jon Moxley defending his AEW World Championship title against Kenny Omega on AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming. The whole thing down, Cal's involvement and all that and everything, which led to Kenny Omega becoming the AEW World Champion, and then the whole thing where they left the building, and then they said that find out what's happening on Tuesday, which Tuesdays is on Impact Wrestling, which we're gonna get to right now. So yeah, also we get to that the shot outside of Skyway Studios where there's a bus. Basically, it's like the whole Lex Express thing that Kenny Omega and Don Callis is going to be in, but I think in this case it's called the Omega Express. Maybe the Cleaner Express, I don't know, whichever you want to say. The point is, they got the tour bus there, and there's a shot of it and all that, and we'll get to more of that when we get to it. And there's a lot of things that I was talking about, which is in AEW as well. And when it comes to Twitch TV, Melissa Santos, she took the night off. Basically, I won't say AEW, Impact Wrestling had Melissa Santos took the night off, and what we had on the show, where it tends to tune into commercial ads, greatest moments, greatest matches, greatest rivals, greatest promos, all that type of stuff, where it tends to Impact Plus moments of the week and everything, and there was a lot of that. And there was some also pertains to another advertisement, which we'll get to when we get to it too, which is why Mr. Santos had the night off. And not much to it. Will she be back? I don't know. We have to wait and see. Hopefully she does, because I do miss her. Because watching these whole thing, and everything's changed too, by the way. I'm pretty sure a lot has changed, because they didn't even mention a couple of the build-ups that's going to happen for Final Resolution for later on tonight, which when I get to that preview, you'll find out soon enough about that too. Not in this video, but the next video I'm gonna do a preview, so tune in for that one. Anyways, let's get to this show itself now. Josh Alexander with Ethan Page versus Chris Sabin with Alex Shelley it's a one-on-one match between the Walking Weapon and Chris Sabin, and match itself was pretty good. Josh Alexander was distracted by Ethan Page. Basically, Ethan Page was yelling at him, saying, you know, finish him, whatever, something like that. I don't remember how. And then Josh Alexander's like, I know what I'm doing and everything. Basically, they're veering back and forth. They're basically breaking, teasing this breakup between the North, and I don't like that. I don't want them to break up, especially when AEW and Impact Wrestling is going to be, doing things a crossover type of thing where we could see Impact Wrestling stars versus AEW stars. So why would you want to break up the North? Where eventually we could get the North versus the Young Bucks, maybe the North versus the FTR, the North versus some new tactics coming up from AEW. Hell, I wouldn't mind seeing the North versus the Lucha Bros if they're healthy enough. We'll get to that when we get to the AEW Dynamite portion of reviews of it. I don't know when, but I'll get to that eventually, because as of right now, this is about Impact Wrestling. So yeah, there you go. But anyways, but I don't like this teasing of breaking up the North. I don't understand at all. I don't know if it's because Ethan Page is leaving to go elsewhere, and they want Josh Alexander to just be a single star. And the potential is there with Josh Alexander. He's the walking weapon. He's a great wrestler. There's there's star power there with him being a singles wrestler. I just don't get it. I don't get it why they're doing it this way. I don't want them to break up. I don't want there to be any problems with the North. So I think that's it's gonna be a letdown when it happens. But in the end, it was Chris Sabin getting the win by running up Josh Alexander, because more of the whole bittering back and forth. And that was basically it. Yeah, basically a road victory for the win. So yeah, there wasn't really much of it pertains to that whole thing, and no what to say about it. So there you go. We go backstage and we see Chris Bay and Moose. Chris Bay is trying to talk to Moose about some strategies for their main event match, which we'll get to when we get to it. Moose basically says this is his plan, his fist, and that was it. And Chris Bay felt like, okay, whatever, and that was it. And then much to say about that. Impact Plus Greatest Ultimate X match from Victory Road of 2008, excuse me. Yeah, not much to say about that. There you go. Also, we get to an AEW advertisements on the show with Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan. Tony Khan, he brings up the whole ad to help out Impact Wrestling, and said that he's very upset what Kenny Omega did, and also upset that of the arrival of Kenny Omega on Impact Wrestling. And basically, Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan runs down the whole card of AEW Dynamite, which it was from this past week. And Tony Khan said to Tony Schiavone, "You've been in Impact Wrestling before." And then Tony Schiavone said, "Yeah, it was just that one night, and that was it." And he left the business ever since then. Something went wrong during that time when Tony Schiavone was part of TNA Wrestling at the time, and then 18 years, and then 18 years of being away from the business so long, he never looked back at it. Until obviously when it comes to MLW and now with AEW, but when it comes to TNA at the time, makes you wonder why he left in the first place. Because it looked like they was doing something with that whole thing with Tony Schiavone being a heel, and then that was it. Nothing to it that led to it. But anyways, it's funny that that Tony Schiavone mentioned that he was part of TNA Wrestling at the time, even though it was only a one-time deal, and a dick move from Tony Khan's part for you bringing that up. And then they plugged the whole thing of the interview that Tony Schiavone's going to do with Sting, and Tony Khan talks about he has some investments in Nashville, and may even buy. Basically, he's teasing and basically saying some seeds that he might buy Impact Wrestling. and he invites Don Callis to Dynamite along with Kenny Omega. Obviously, Kenny Omega, he has to be there because he's AEW World Champion and he's signed with AEW, and he's one of the vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. So yeah, there you go. That was basically it. Tony Khan came out looking like a heel in this whole thing, and I thought he delivered perfectly too. He sounded good. He looked good. Basically, he was being a character on Impact Wrestling, and hopefully we keep it as that instead of him being a character on AEW from his own company. So we'll see. But it was good. It was good though. Brian Myers versus TJP. Match itself was pretty decent for what it was. And then we go to break. During the break, there was another Impact Plus greatest hardcore moments. Well, another Impact Plus moments, and one of them was the greatest hardcore moments. It was Motor Machine Guns versus Generation Me, Young Bucks, from Final Resolution 2010. And good way to advertise, I'm not drawing a blank here. Final Resolution returns to tonight's Final Resolution, and there you go. Much to say about that. So, and then we get back to the match. After the advertisement, TJP and Brian Myers, and then Brian Myers wins. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I don't understand. What is this whole push for Brian Myers? I get he was not treated right in WWE. I get it. You want to give opportunities to guys like a Brian Myers. But why Brian Myers of all people? I don't understand this push at all. I don't get this push. It's just I just don't understand. I don't understand. And on top of that, you got him beating TJP, which, by the way, TJP is part of the Super J Cup tournament for New Japan Pro Wrestling, representing for your company, Impact Wrestling, and you're having him lose to Brian Myers? It's a whole Chris Bay thing all over again. Unbelievable. And then we get to the Deaners. Basically the whole thing with Cody Deaner going up against Eric Young, and it was supposed to be a passionate promo from Cody Deaner, and I'm like, you're a joke jobber. Who cares? And then we get to Rohit Raju, mocking TJP, basically telling him that 2020 has not been your year, but unfortunately for you. No, I'm saying, I'm meant to say, but fortunately for you, basically, Rohit Raju has put himself over that. It's been his year because he's X-Division champion and all that, and he's gonna end 2020 by having the final beat Rohit challenge, or in this case, beat Rohit challenge. And TJP basically stops him as he's leaving. He's like, hey, just want to say good luck to you at Final Resolution, because that's what the challenge is gonna happen, Final Resolution. And that was it. And I say to myself, what do you mean by that? So I'm thinking to myself, is he gonna be suicide this time, or maybe he's gonna be manic? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know what they're doing to TJP. I really don't know what they're doing with this guy. It's a disappointment that they're booking him like this, especially where he's gonna be a part of the Super J Cup. And again, it's the same way I feel about Chris Bay. Oh, by the way, I'll get to him later on. We're seeing some other advertisement they did, or chance to the Hard to Kill, but I'll say that for later. Eric Young being accompanied by Joe Doring versus Cody Deaner, accompanied by Cousin Jake. They had Cody Deaner basically go a distance with Eric Young. I don't get the push of this guy either. Cody Deaner, I don't get the push. I don't get it at all. He could be entertaining, but as a competitor, as someone to look at, what a wrestler he is, I don't see it. Eric Young was having trouble with this guy. Yeah, Eric Young, the world class maniac, one of all the best wrestlers in Impact Wrestling, is having trouble trying to beat Cody Deaner. But Eric Young did win. Actually, I don't remember if he did win or not. Oh yeah, he did. After the match, Joe Doring and Eric Young takes out the Deaners. All of a sudden, Rhino comes out, and he had a pipe. It was one of the most funny looking pipe I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, why do you need a pipe, Rhino? You're the man beast. The last thing you need is to fend off anyone with a foreign object. That was so ridiculous, but it was funny at the same time looking at that. Jeez. But yeah, but they retreated. You know, they got out of the ring and they left, and that was it. Wow, what a great build-up for Final Resolution, which we'll get to when we get to the preview of it. We go backstage. Tommy Dreamer and Johnny Bravo. He brings up the whole thing. He got shot. Dreamer says that Larry D, that he was upset because he was set up, and blah blah blah. Yeah. Don't care. And this is gonna be part of the show for tonight. Final Resolution. Then we get to Tommy Dreamer and Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore basically said he hates our wrestlers making matches and everything. And then Tommy Dreamer says, you know, he's concerned about Kenny Omega and Don Callis and blah 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 and everything. And that he's Don Callis is out for himself and everything, blah blah blah. Scott D'Amore says, you know, yeah, he needs to keep the locker room together and everything, blah blah blah. And says something that even Lance Storm thinks that it's a good thing. Whatever. I was not interested in what they were saying there. I mean, yeah, they mentioned Kenny Omega and Don Callis and everything, but I just didn't care about it at all. The whole thing that the Time Dreamer is doing right now. Then we get to the final the final first round of the Knockouts Tag Team Championship Tournament. Retains to the Impact Knockouts champion, the Virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo, teaming up with Kimberly versus Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. Match happens, pretty good match. In the end, it was Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary winning, as I predicted. And now we'll change to the brackets. So far, you got what was it again? Oh yeah, Havoc and Nevaeh. They'll be going up against Jordan Grace and Jazz. And then we got Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz. They'll be going up against Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. And I don't remember if I say either Nevaeh and Havoc's gonna win or Jordan Grace and Jazz is gonna win. But I know one thing: I want Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz to win. I want them to advance, which I probably thinking to myself they're probably not going to, because that's how Impact Wrestling is going to be right now with Kiera Hogan. They'll give her something, and then they'll take it away from her, and they'll give her something, and then it will be something that I don't like about what they're doing with Kiera Hogan. And this is one of the things that is working for Kiera Hogan with her and Tasha Steelz. This is the one of the best things going on right now in Impact Wrestling is the chemistry that Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz got right now. So they've been not squander that. And how to not squander that? By having them win, going too hard to kill in the finals, and to win the entire thing. Kiera Hogan and Tasha Steelz needs to become Knockouts Tag Team Champions. No ifs and buts. But anyways, it was a good match though between Taya Valkyrie, Rosemary versus Deonna Purrazzo and Kimberly. No interferences, by the way. I thought we were going to see like a return of Susie, or maybe Su Yung escape from the Undead Realm and distracted Darren Peraza and Kimberly. No, it was just a regular one-on-one. I mean, a regular tag team match, I meant to say, and it was a clean finish. Wow, I'm impressed. Did we go backstage? We see Tina Dashwood with a K, with Alicia Edwards, and Alicia Edwards is told that she is out of the team because the whole thing with her and Sammy Callahan, but the whole thing will happen with Eddie Edwards. We'll get to that later. Alicia Edwards leaves, and then that was it, and they walk off, and blah blah. So now they're enemies. Now that it's not, this whole thing is not working. It's not working now because now they've gone to a new direction with this whole thing, and like they can't keep things together. They just can't keep things together. It reminds me of WWE. It's like they had no plans for these talents at all. We get the standard math promo that we get every time. I mean, they don't do this all the time, but I remember that there was a portion of it. Sometimes they do that all the time, and now it's back. So this was back from TNA Impact from May 1st of 2008. So there. By the way, niggas, by the way, because it's the standard math promo. Deanna Peraza and Kimberly approaches Scott D'Amore to complain about the match they had. And then Scott D'Amore says, he's sure that to keep things focused, retains to know Rosemary. Retains to know Suyeon being involved in everything, and he decided to make a match for Final Resolution. Deanna Peraza will defend her Knockouts Championship title against Rosemary. And Scott D'Amore, kept on talking about that and all that, and also he throws his papers around. And I said, so what the fuck was that about? And on top of that, now I was expecting this match to eventually happen down the road, but this came out of nowhere, right out of the blue. No build. We're just going to do it just to do it because we're running out of time, because we didn't have weeks to really build this up to mean anything. This may look like I hate the show. I never hate the show, folks. I don't know I hate the show. Did I find some stuff annoying on the show? Yes. There was stuff here that annoyed the hell out of me. And it pissed me off, too. But I didn't hate the show, though. I just hate how they booked the show. Man, it was just terrible. Terrible placement. And speaking of which, they never... Well, actually, I'll say that for the preview. Yeah, I'll say that for the preview. Maybe just move on. You get Sammy Callahan on the microphone. He says that he says that that he is the highest rated draw in wrestling. And he says that he is the best on the mic and the most must see wrestler on the planet. Until Kenny Omega ends up being the talk of the town now. And he says that he has hail and pepper on his back and had the company what it is. And he helped make the company what it is. And he pulled every strings. He pulled every trenches, I meant to say. And talks about the baseball bat incident that he had with Eddie Edwards. This was back in what, 2018? Yeah, it was 2018. And then obviously he also talks about the one recently. Where it pertains to the baseball bat, where Eddie was cuffed and everything, and then he started bleeding and everything. Then they also Sammy Callahan wanted them to play the part of the match where Sammy Callahan has advertised and everything, and they didn't play it. And then he goes to do. I'm trying to remember how he did. He's like roll the footage. I can't remember how he said it though. It was funny though, the way it was done. There should be a meme about that, by the way. If it hasn't already, then there needs to be a meme of that one, because it was an accidental meme. If there is one, because it was funny the way it was done. So then Alicia Edwards comes out, and basically she's mad, obviously. The whole thing with Eddie Edwards. And Sammy Khan is who mouths at Alicia Edwards. He told her that if she steps in the ring, you're gonna get your neck breaking. Like what almost happened to her the last time. The whole thing with Eric Young. And then she said, she didn't come alone and all that. And I said to myself, oh no. And here he came, Eddie Edwards, still the same Eddie Edwards, and beats up Sammy Khan a little bit, and Sammy Khan leaves, and that was it. Not much to it. So Sammy Khan escapes by going to the rail, and there you go. So yeah, Eddie Edwards came back, and I was pissed. Impact Plus greatest hardcore moments with LEX, Santana Ortiz. By the way, my apologies to Santana for the loss of his stepdad. May he rest in peace. Which is why he hasn't been on AEW. So he's mourning the death of his stepdad. His stepdad. So I'm sorry for Santana's loss. But yeah, there was LEX versus the Lucha Bros. Penta El Zero Miedo and Ray Phoenix. The Lucha Bros. This was back from Rebellion of 2019. Basically Santana Ortiz and the Lucha Bros final year before going to AEW, because at that point they were doing some numerous of matches for Impact Wrestling, and then they were finishing up to go to AEW. So yeah, there you go. They would go backstage. Eddie Edwards fired up. Yes, he's fired up and everything. And Alicia Edwards walks, to basically calms him down, whatever, and says, we need to take care of some other things too. And then Eddie Edwards, it was going crazy and everything. Yeah, we gotta take care of the other thing. Yeah, let's go do it right now. And I said to myself, okay, well, what's the thing that's talking about? Well, I'll tell you. Alicia Edwards and Eddie Edwards versus Kid for K and Tino Dashwood at Final Resolution 2020. Which Impact Wrestling on this show itself, they didn't even bother mentioning it at all. Yeah. Just to think, Eddie Edwards was gone. He just keeps coming back, and he's gonna keep coming back more, and I'm gonna be annoyed more, and I'm not gonna care. Chris Bay and Moose versus Willie Mack and Rich Swann. Rich Swann is the Impact World Champion. Moose is the TNA World Champion. Chris Bay is a normal contender, and Willie Mack, not much going on. I think I should mention this now. Rich Swann was part of this whole advertisement for Hard to Kill, because he's the Impact World Champion. So yeah, it's nice that they're promoting this, the whole Hard to Kill pay-per-view that's going to happen in 2021 in January. Here's the problem though. They're doing it during this week when they're building up for a Final Resolution between Chris Bay versus Rich Swann. Boy, if you didn't telegraph Chris Bay is going to lose to Rich Swann for the later on tonight, then I don't know what I'm just baffled. I'm speechless. Who thought this was a good idea to even advertise that? They couldn't wait till next week to advertise it, or at least whatever. This is their company. They can do what the fuck they want, and they think it's good. They think it's such good shit. But match happens. They go to commercial break. During the commercial break, they show the Impact Plus greatest knockouts moment, which it was Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong from Final Resolution 2008. Great match at that time, and great feud, great rivalry. Match came back. I meant to say match also was pretty good. With Chris Bay and Moose getting the win. So here's how this happened. Moose went for the last spear to William Mack and beats him up to a point where he couldn't respond. Rich Swann goes after Moose, and then Chris Bay goes for the cover, and that's how Chris Bay won for the team. All you had to do was just go to William Mack and just cover him. So basically, Moose did all the work, and Chris Bay snuck in the win. And there you go. They also telegraphed it that Chris Bay is going to lose tonight. I mean, I'm not expecting him to win either way against Rich Swann later on tonight. but you could at least build him up strong. Instead of build him up like this to make someone like me to see this and say, oh, despite this booking, he's definitely I believe he's gonna win. I didn't believe that at all. I don't believe this at all. That he's gonna win. I really hope he leaves Impact Wrestling. Chris, I'm talking about Chris Bay. I hope he leaves Impact Wrestling. I think he made a big mistake signing with them. So we go commercial break. After the commercial break, we go backstage. We see Rich Swann is going to leave to the exit, except the security is not letting him go through because he says the real world champion is parked is in the parking lot blocking the everything and all that. And Rich Swann said, but Moose is not the real champion though. Yeah, I'm the real champion, and he's like, oh no, not you. Basically he's talking about Kenny Omega. And Josh Matthews, he says, I'm on the list, to interview Kenny Omega and Don Callis, and screwed them through. And then Rich Swann wasn't happy. He was pissed off. Before I get to that part, let me get back to Josh Matthews. So when Kenny Omega arrives to Impact Wrestling on Impact Wrestling, on their television set of Access TV or Twitch TV, however you're watching it, show up on Impact Wrestling overall. Josh Matthews' commentary on that night sounded good. And I was saying to myself, wow, of all nights, you chose this night to be good on commentary. Boy, I wish he would have sounded like this years ago and moving forward. If I think we should have Kenny Omega on Impact Wrestling more often. Which, by the way, well, I'll say that for later. But yeah, Josh Matthews. I was like, where's the passion of Josh Matthews of his commentary? All of a sudden, Kenny Omega, and Don Callis, especially with Kenny Omega being the AEW World Champion, all of a sudden he's arriving to Impact Wrestling. All of a sudden now Josh Matthews found his passion on commentary. Before we get to what happened on the whole thing with Josh Matthews interviewing Don Callis and Kenny Omega, they show Impact Plus Greatest Returns. It was Sting returning, to at the time in professional wrestling, but we all thought he was going to be done with professional wrestling at the time. We showed up the Final Resolution of 2008, and there you go. Nothing to say about that. It was basically a match where he teamed up with Christian Cage versus Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown. There you go. My Christian Cage is Christian, from WWE. All right, so we go. So Josh Matthews goes into the bus, and he shakes hands with Don Callis and Kenny Omega, and they show the AEW World Championship title on Impact Wrestling television. Good. So Don Callis asks Josh Matthews if he wants to see history to be made, and Don Callis says that Kenny Omega's name plate has not been changed yet because the nameplate John Moxley is still on there. So they decided to do the name change on this episode, on this night of Impact Wrestling, during this whole thing where Josh Matthews is going to interview them. And then Kenny Omega, he grabs the nameplate of John Moxley and says, "Hey, you talking to Josh Matthews. Hey, you're a friend of Ambrose." He literally said this. Kenny Omega said Ambrose, and like the balls of this guy. Oh, by the way, speaking of the name Ambrose, Dean Ambrose has been trademarked by the WWE. Maybe they're gonna have someone looking like John Moxley to be Dean Ambrose, so they could do the fake Ambrose or the bogus Ambrose, whatever, because they wanted to do the Arena of the Shield. I don't know, maybe, who knows. I don't know why they trademarked that. To me, I think it's a waste of money to trademark Dean Ambrose because Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, I should say, he ain't come back to WWE, so whatever. What's next? You're gonna trademark Renee Young? She ain't go back there either. By the way, I'll tell you that. She's happy where she is right now, and that's not in WWE. Anyways, but enough about WWE. So yeah, but at the end of the day, Omega Dory the nameplate of John Moxley, and then Don Callis says that this whole thing started 27 years ago when he was trained by Kenny Omega's uncle called the Golden Sheik. I didn't even know Kenny Omega's uncle was even a wrestler. But Cal says that he looked at Kenny Omega, who looked at the Sheik, looked at and basically looked after him after that. And by the way, for those who don't know, Don Callis used to wrestle. He wasn't just a manager. He wasn't just a commentator. He wasn't just a backstage personnel and all that. He used to be a wrestler. He used to wrestle. But Don Callis says that he didn't come back to just to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling, getting name dropped in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he says this all was part of the plan. Of him coming back to Impact Wrestling, and for him to be part of AEW, where Tim's still holding with Kenny Omega, where they're holding when Tony Khan invited him to his house, say that Don Callis and Kenny Omega are family, and says that the match changed of course of history was Omega versus Jericho, which pertains to the match that they had from AEW, from Japan, transmitted to AEW, to AEW. It says that Omega changed, of course, of his wrestling history, and it says that it sets the course of history right, and it says that a Hall of Fame in his mid-30s, which you talk about the Wrestling News Observer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Fame of Dave Meltzer. Can make us part of that list now. He's been inducted to the Hall of Fame. And who is your AEW World Champion, and says that he and Omega make history. And then Josh Matthews asked Don Callis that if what they did on Dynamite, with the whole thing of Omega being John Moxley was, his victory was tarnished, and everything, or tainted in a way. And Don Callis found this offensive. And then Omega cuts him up and said, whoa, hold on, Josh Matthews, and asked him, he had a father or a father figure in his life, said that, and basically asked Josh Matthews if he would strike someone who would strike his father, and says that he was mad that Moxley struck his father figure in Don Callis. And Omega said that he did not tarnish the legacy of AEW title. Moxley, he said that Omega was saying him come to Impact Wrestling, and saying to Josh Matthews needs to treat him better, and says that he can come to Impact Wrestling because he can, and says that he collect comic books, but no matter how many he collected, he could not get the best comic, and says that he has the number one title, which is the AEW title, and then talked about how he likes collecting championships and likes to travel. And Don Callis said that, it's Don Callis talking now. Don Callis says that he had the titles in Impact Wrestling, and in 24 hours, Kenny has something huge planned for Dynamite, and drops the name Lex Luger. He literally dropped the name Lex Luger in this one. And says that he and Don Callis had to head back to Jacksonville, and he basically told Josh Matthews to go back to Stanford, kid. Basically talking about going back to WWE. Boy, do I wish he would. But Kenny Omega basically Omega says that Josh isn't a bad a bad guy, and Callis calls him a stooge, which he is, and that was it. So there you go, folks. That was Kenny Omega on Impact Wrestling. And folks, I gotta bring this up before I get to the talk about wrestling and my overall stream for the show. I'm gonna talk about the whole thing with Kenny Omega showing up at Impact Wrestling. So what pertains to Impact Wrestling, the viewership on Twitch TV, usually they get about 30, not 30. What pertains to Impact Wrestling on Twitch TV every Tuesday is 3,500 viewerships. Again, on Twitch TV. I don't know if the same thing goes for Access TV, but I'm pretty sure it's more than that. Twitch TV is probably it's gonna be that amount. 3,500. But with chance to access TV, I think it's like somewhere from 100,000. With chance of viewership. With chance to you're watching on access TV. However, due to Kenny Omega's arrival, of the advertisement of him arriving to Impact Wrestling, it went over 45,000 viewerships on Twitch TV. That's huge. And for those people that was crapping, also the segment that they had while they were waiting for Kenny Omega to show up, the segment this segment that ended the show, 52,105 viewerships on Twitch TV. Wow. Numbers increased because Kenny Omega is a draw. And I want to get back to those people. For those people that kept saying Kenny Omega is not a draw because of his because they think he's overrated and blah blah blah, he's not a very good wrestler and all that, blah 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 and all that. Well, for all you people that's saying that, you were the same people that tuned into to the show and give the viewership to Impact Wrestling because of Kenny Omega. So how you look when you say that Kenny Omega's not a draw, even though you'll help boost the rating of it on Twitch TV, and for those, I'm pretty sure for those that watch on Access TV as well. So I want to hear, I don't want to hear any more dumbass excuses for any dumbass fans saying that Kenny Omega's not a draw. Based on this, Kenny Omega is a draw. For those that's who cares about Kenny Omega? Well, apparently you did because you tuned in to watch Kenny Omega on the show. Tune in to wait to see Kenny Omega, and you finally got Kenny Omega on the show there. So the whole thing of saying Kenny Omega is not a draw, you're in your own words. And there's a lot of disrespectful things that were said too, to people in the comments, pertaining to this whole thing on the show. They should show them that they're not wrestling fans. They're not true wrestling fans at all. So there you go. That was a show. And by the way, a poor go home show pertains to for tonight's event, Final Resolution. Now it's not pay-per-view. It's not pay-per-view. It's not pay-per-view at all. But still, you're building up Final Resolution, and you barely built any matches on there. And none of it was not even announced. They didn't even try to advertise it. But whatever. Right? It's not a show, right? So who cares? Anyways. I think there were 5 matches. Oh no, actually, I think there were 6 matches. All right, let me check one more time. Five matches? I thought it was more than that. Nope. 5 matches. Alright. 5 matches happen here on this Golden Show edition of Final Resolution 2020 for Impact Wrestling. And my overall trend for the show, namely because Kenny Omega was on the show, and that's basically, I had a good time watching the show too, despite a couple of things that annoy me. But yeah, Kenny Omega on the show here, and we've since listen to that interview. I thought it was a good interview. That's one thing I forgot to mention. I thought that was a good interview. Everything of it was delivered pretty good. Even Josh Matthews rotates the whole thing. So I'm gonna go with 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10. In fact, I'll go with 9 out of 10. Yeah, I'll go with that. 9 out of 10. Good show. Very good show. despite some companies that annoy me. Again, stuff that annoy me on the show, you may have thought, I would give it a low grade. No, because Kenny Omega's showing up there. Kenny Omega is one of the best bout machine, best wrestler in the world. And he's got the belt to prove it too. So, and what the talk right here of Kenny Omega is that he wants to be more than just being the AEW World Champion. And keep in mind, he's also the current Triple A, the Triple A Mega Champion. So, Kenny Omega's got 2 belts on his plate. He wants more championship belts. So yeah, Impact Wrestling, he could be the Impact World Champion. He could be the TNA World Champion. Hell, if the traveling things is working out as it should, he could go to New Japan Pro Wrestling and he could win back the IWGP Championship belt. He could even go to MLW and become the MLW World Champion. He could go to Ring of Honor and become the Ring of Honor World Champion. And you think that he'll go to WWE to become WWE World Champion? Yeah. With WWE not working with other companies, and the whole independent contracting thing, yeah, that ain't gonna happen. WWE is not gonna allow that anyways. As long as this man's there, ain't gonna happen. No matter what Triple H says, as long as this man's still there, it ain't happening. But there you go, 9 out of 10 though. All right, folks. I'll get to the preview later on. In the meantime, thank you all for watching. For It's Natural Born Thriller. If this is the first time you're watching me, please do yourself a favor. Please do me a favor, and subscribe to me and hit that notification bell for more contests coming up in the future. Especially everyone's favorite, taking out the trash. Just saying. But if you enjoyed this review, give it a like. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a dislike. Either way, thank you for spending your time by joining me right here with yours truly, as I try to give you the absolute best content I can give you right here on YouTube. So you'll stay well, stay safe, take care of yourself, everything that's going on in the world, wear your mask, love one another, God bless one another, live in peace and harmony for us all. I am out here. Ta-ta for now. Peace on the streets. Take care.